All right, we're going to continue on discussing indirect fire. We'll get into all the specific types of indirect fire there are a little bit later. Right now, we're just going to discuss the basics of getting the fire for effect marker to the table and then adjusting for any drift that might happen. So you're going to do this with onboard or offboard artillery. But for either, it's going to be resolved one at a time. So you're only going to need a single fire for effect marker because each indirect fire is resolved fully before you take and move on to the next one. Now, when you start, you're going to, of course, need to make a spotter check if it's required. We'll use this little recon unit here. He doesn't need to make a spotting check. So let's say he's wanting to call in a fire for effect marker right here. So if it's within line of sight of your spotting unit, and you pass a spotting check if it's required, and within the range of your onboard unit, if that's what you're using, you'll go ahead and place your fire for effect marker and the hex that you're wanting to call in your indirect fire. Now here's the point where you have to make a scatter roll. And in this case, you're going to roll a 1d6, and on a 1 through 5, it's fine. It lands directly in the hex that you're calling it in. However, if you roll a 6, at that point, you have to continue on making further rolls to determine if there is any other scattering happening. You need to determine what direction is north on your map, and on the map that I'm playing here, it's down to the bottom left, you can't see it, but each one will be marked which direction is north. For this map, it's to the left, so for the fire for effect marker here, this hex is considered north of it. You will make a further 1d6 roll, and that will determine what direction the drift happens. This will be considered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You start with north and you work your way around the circle. However, it doesn't just end there. After that roll, there's another 1d6 roll to determine if there's any further scatter. You roll a 1d6 on a 1 to 3. It will remain where it drifted with the 1 hex. On a 4 to 5, it scatters another hex, and then if you roll a 6, it's considered to have a catastrophic result and the attack is canceled. So let's kind of walk out an example here of a fire for effect being placed here against this unit and the rolls that are being made for scatter. Let's say they make their scatter roll, the first one, and a 6 is rolled. That means that it will drift to one of the surrounding hexes. For the drift roll, a 2 is rolled. We know that this hex is north, so we count 1, 2. That means our fire for effect marker will move to this hex. Now we have to roll one more time to determine whether or not the fire for effect marker will remain here, drift again, or be canceled. Another d6 roll is made, and this time it's a 4. That means that it's going to scatter again. So we're going to make another scatter roll, but we're looking at this hex as north. We're still going north from the fire for effect marker. So we roll another 1d6. A 4 is rolled, and we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and move the fire for effect marker to its final location on top of these units, and then you will take and resolve any direct fire for whatever type of indirect fire was actually used against the units in that hex. So again, the basics are when you're checking for your drift, you're going to do your first roll to see if there is any drift. Then you'll do your second roll to determine if there's any further drift or a catastrophic end. And keep in mind, if there is a catastrophic end, you roll the 6 on that second roll, then it will count against your count of offboard artillery or mark your onboard artillery as ops complete if you do get that failure. And then after that, again, if you get any further drift, you'll roll again to determine for that drift.